decent length skirts and so on, heading for the secondary schools. Of course, they had to turn back and go home. We would have thought that everybody knew that for them, school begins on Wednesday. The teachers turn out in force today. For the high schools in particular, which is the group of students that I saw. So parents, please be advised that your children are not to be in school today. Don't let any one of them give you other information. And you parents, of course, you yourselves ought to have been properly au fait with that information. There were a number of radio programs, number of PTA meetings, and so on. School begins on Wednesday for students. So those who saw uniform, they were duly advised to return home ASAP. So we want to wish them well, a successful new year. Of course, it's a new one, totally unfamiliar. As I said in a program last week, after 57 years of universal secondary education, 53 years, sorry, this is the first time a school year begins under the current conditions. So we want to wish them well. But we return to the matter at hand, local cricket. We talk about cricket, ladies and gentlemen, because we have established, and it is now settled opinion, that cricket is a very useful form of activity, not just for entertainment as a sport, but it also provides income. There are a number of cricketers who live solely and exclusively from their performance, their ability, their prowess in cricket. Of course, as with almost any other sporting activity, any other athlete, once he or she, that particular athlete, has established himself as being an ace, he or she gets endorsements to provide commercials and so on, and earns added income. And that can happen to our own local cricketers as well. We are concerned about the state of local cricket, as had been described by the Cricket Association, the St. Kitts Cricket Association, and the other sporting group. What's the name of it again?
Caribbean All-Stars
Cricket Club. We would have heard from Caribbean All-Stars on 19th August and from the Cricket Association on the 21st of August. We welcome to the studio this morning the president of the St. Kitts Cricket Association and the leading member, the president as well. So we have two presidents. So we're in high company, gentlemen of high rank, both presidents. And your humble servant is therefore pleased to be a part of this discussion. All right, so we're going to begin with Mr. President Philip as he states his case, so to speak. Afterwards, we'll hear from Mr. James, and then we open the lines, and in between, while we wait for your calls, we will have an exchange of views between both gentlemen and myself. Thank you very much for sticking and staying with us. We want to hear more about cricket, especially now that the schools have begun. Schools have reopened from today. And one of the big arguments is that in order to resuscitate, revive, and rescue St. Kitts cricket, we need to begin at that basic level with the youngsters in the schools. So, President Philip, talk to us.
Thank you. Good morning to all, everybody out there listening to us. Pleasant good morning to you on behalf of myself and the St. Kitts Cricket Association. I want to take this opportunity to just give you a brief outline of the St. Kitts Cricket Association that exists today. Starting from its inception in 1876 when it was formed as an association. An association meaning the word association meaning an association of clubs and members. Most of it today still continues. Like it says, being formed in 1876, we have had several changes, not significant. However, as an example, in 2014, the whole concept of the Cricket Association changed to some extent, where it became a company, a legal registered company, and so it has its memorandum of and articles of incorporation of the St. Kitts Cricket Association, which was started, like I said, 2014 or changed over in 2014. The St. Kitts Cricket Association membership is paying today basically what they have been paying as an annual fee for the past 3, almost maybe 4 decades. The members who actually serve on the management committee, which would be the executive and management, executive being 5 members, additional 6 members, ordinary members of management, making it 11 plus 1 member from the Umpires Association. All of these persons that I've just called, including myself as president, vice president, etc., treasurer, etc., are there as volunteers to the association. However, the reason why we're there, it's not for prestige or for pomp and ceremony that we hold those positions. It's a matter that we're there simply because we have the desire to see cricket go from strength to strength. When we took office in 2015, cricket was at a very low ebb, and we have tried over the past couple of years to try and strengthen and rebuild to some extent what cricket used to be. We cannot, however, bring back cricket in all of the aspects that certain people or many people seem to think that cricket can come back in. As an example, access to all the grounds at any time, etc., is a very hard task, and I don't really foresee that the old circumstances will come back. However, the Sinkers Cricket...
But excuse me, these changes as a result of COVID or notwithstanding?
These changes, I'm talking way back from maybe 2007, just before World Cup, and some obviously would have started happening a little before, where the grounds, like it says, became under the sole proprietorship and as either grants or anything. We do eventually, at some points, we receive donations, contributions from several sponsors of leagues, etc. And so we budget, our annual budget basically averages at 100 to 150 or more thousand per year. I will try to explain all of that if I need to as we go along in the program. But that is what we use basically to put leagues on and to send our players to, as far as travel, to participate in leewards games, etc. Like it says, more details could be forthcoming as soon as we get into discussion as to what is really happening with cricket and why cricket may or may not be at the level that both sides would agree that it should be on. So for that, at this point, I will probably just rest here, hear from the other side, and then we can get into some little discussions as to what matters need to be ironed out, what matters we need to shed some light on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I'm sure it was not lost on the audience that the President in his last statement referred to the other side. We are hoping that as a result of this discussion, there will perhaps sooner than later be no other side,
correct,
but simply one side. Let's hear, in the meantime, however, from Mr. James.
Greetings all. Thanks for having me again on this forum, where I intend to bring forward concerns and experiences that our cricket club and myself personally has incurred over the years. I'm not here just to criticize Cricket Association. I believe we're here to really try to make cricket better, and in my mantra, try to bring cricket back to the communities, and by and large, specifically to the schools. I'd like to say, as I've been said, I'm Calvin James. I'm president of the Caribbean All-Stars Cricket Club. And for several years, over the past, at least, I would say, since my return from Canada, I'll say approximately 15 years, I've been advocating at least over the past, about maybe 12, 14 years out of those 15 years, about ways and means in which we need to really address further development of cricket. That was one of my main mantra. I made suggestions that we need to go into the schools and set proper programs, get them approved by the Ministry of Sports and Education, get the program also being supported by West Indies Cricket Board.
Maximize the opportunities that have arisen in terms of digital education and its key components that will make our new norm work. Digital education mandates that the Ministry of Education procures solutions that focus heavily on the connections between all education stakeholders, teachers to students, teachers to parents, education leaders to teachers and parents, students to students, teachers to teachers, and schools to community within a digital space. Understanding the drivers that will steer these connections are what makes the new reality. Over the past few months, the Ministry of Education not only stood at the portal of an unforeseen reality, it also gave us an opportunity to understand the behaviors, preferences, tendencies of all stakeholders who will form the connections to forge ahead with digital education. In order for it to function effectively, the Ministry of Education has identified two critical connections. Firstly, the integrated student learning life cycle that creates a continuum from pre-K to the last lesson the student ever learns, so that not only what the student learns is being tracked, but how they learned it. And secondly, the integration of technology solutions. The latter of these connections is the practical solutions that will solve all functional problems that exist across academia today, and not only the changes brought about by the pandemic. These are the solutions that will help teachers to keep their various responsibilities in sync digitally.